Welcome, race fans, to episode 4 of Photo Finish. I'm your host, Steve-O. Thank you to everybody that watched our last episode, which was How to Read a Racing Form. If you haven't already caught that episode, I would encourage you to go back and do that right now. All of our episodes are up on YouTube, as well as iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere that you can get podcasts. So go back and take a look at that. That will help you out as we talk about the Haskell Stakes for this coming weekend. We're going to get right into it. As I stated, this is the Haskell Stakes preview. The Haskell Stakes is being ran on Saturday, July the 17th at Monmouth Park in Oceanport, New Jersey. One of the biggest storylines for this weekend is the weather. They are calling for rain this weekend at Monmouth Park. As of right now, 50% chance of rain, scattered thunderstorms throughout the day and into the afternoon. So keep an eye on the weather. You're going to want to check the updated scratches heading into each race. If the weather gets bad, you'll probably see some horses scratch. Some may scratch early morning, some may not scratch until right up before the race is set to go off. So keep an eye on the weather, keep an eye on the track conditions. That's going to possibly play into the Haskell. So you want the most up-to-date information that you can get. So keep an eye on the weather before placing your bets. Just another note, I spoke earlier in previous episodes about Monmouth Park banning the whip, so jockeys are no longer allowed to be able to whip the horses. That caused a lot of backlash from the Jockeys Association. Some of the top jockeys have refused to ride at Monmouth Park. Monmouth Park originally said if you don't come ride earlier in the meet, we're not going to let you ride at all. Well, I think they backed off that a little bit because some jockeys were riding other places. Belmont, Churchill Downs were still running, and a lot of the top jockeys were there. This card has drawn some top jockeys this weekend. Joel Rosario, Flavien Prat, Florent Giroux are all riding. So is Tyler Gaffalione, as well as Paco Lopez. Paco's been there, I think, most of the meet. He's been riding consistently and has a lot of mounts on Saturday. The other top jocks are just coming in for the big races, which we're about to go over. So I've got my screen up here. Here is the time form, daily racing form that you can see. I want to start with race 3 at Monmouth Park. This is a $100,000 turf stakes race, 5.5 furlongs. What caught my eye in this race is you got one of the top jocks I just mentioned, Tyler Gaffalione, is coming in riding the 2-horse Mojo-Vation. And I was looking at some of the other jockeys. You got Paco Lopez here, who I mentioned has a lot of mounts, but there's really no other big jockeys in this race. So, it's not a huge race, but for it to draw Tyler G here on a horse that on the morning line is 8-1, that's something I'm going to keep my eye on. If the 2-horse stays 8-1, or even I would say take it 5-1 or higher, I'm going to be placing a win bet on the 2. So just mainly because of the jockey, he's head and shoulders better than every other jockey in this race except for Paco Lopez, who has drawn the rail. So just something to keep an eye on. Let's go on to race 4 here, Monmouth Park. Race 4 is a maiden special, 6 furlongs on the dirt. Just want to point out, I've got some ownership interest in Mo Mischief, the 2-horse here. 2-horse is a My Racehorse and Spendthrift Farm horse. My Racehorse is something that you may want to check out. They're not paying me to plug them, but you can buy micro shares in various racehorses. I am sporting my Authentic hat. I was an owner in Authentic last year. Made some pretty good money, mainly betting on him. He has not returned his investment on the My Racehorse end, but we're working on that now that he's started to stud and be getting some stud fees. But Mo Mischief here, 2-horse, I will be looking at to use either win bet, depending on what the odds go off, 72 on the morning line. You'll see he's only had 2 starts. He got hurt in his last race at Saratoga in August of last year. Has not raced since then. Todd Pletcher is the trainer, though. I've been getting updates from the My Racehorse people. Pletcher has been really talking him up, said his work's looked really good. He is healthy. So I'm going to be looking to place a win on Mo Mischief, an Into Mischief horse who's got the pedigree to do well. I like the 7-horse as well. I'm afraid that Mo Mischief is going to be a favorite by the time this race goes off because of the My Racehorse connections. Typically, all the owners, in my experience, have bet these horses down. Unless it's a big race, you're not getting great odds. So I like the 7 horse here, Clemenza, to pair him with. I'll be doing a 2-7 exacta box. This is a Kelly Breen horse that, has decent speed figures here, just compared to the competition. So, I like the 7 to pair with the 2. Moving on to race 5. This is a grade 3 turf race at 1.125 miles. This is the first grade 3 on the card, and you have some big jockeys coming up. Chad Brown has 4 entries in this race. Brad Cox has 1, and Todd Pletcher has 1. He's got the 1 horse here with Front Giroux on board. So this one's drawing some big names as far as trainers. Should be a good race. You got a couple of Euro horses that come over that typically do well on turf. Their success will transfer. I'm looking here at the 2 Great Island. It's a Chad Brown horse, Joel Rosario. This is not a Euro horse, but I like his speed figures, especially his last time out at Pimlico in May. I like the 3 Counterparty Risk, a Irish horse. Again, I like the Euro connections. They usually translate well to the States. Another Chad Brown horse, Nick Juarez with the mount. Another horse to look at. If the weather gets a little sloppy, Juliet Foxtrot, British horse, Brad Cox, Tyler G. You'll take a look here at the racing form. His last time out, Churchill Downs on the turf. He finished second. Time before that on a yielding turf, he won. A couple races back on a yielding turf, he also won. Tyler G's on board. So if the weather breaks down, I like the 5. Even if the weather doesn't break down, he's got some good finishes recently. He appears to be in good form, good speed numbers. So I like the 5 to win if the weather is not great. Even if it's not, I think he's going to be in contention with the 2 and 3. So those are a few horses to take a look at. Let's move on to the 8th race at Monmouth Park. This is your next grade 3 race on the card. There are a few horses here that you will probably recognize. Let's get down to that 8th race. This is a dirt race at 1.125 miles. First horse that I like is New York Traffic. Saffie Joseph does well on the turf. Tyler Gaffalione is on the mount. This is a horse you may remember from the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness Stakes last year. Let's go back, look at the racing form. We got Kentucky Derby from last year. He finished 8th, not the best showing. Finished 9th at Preakness, but the race before that, which you have to remember the Haskell was ran before the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness last year because of COVID. He finished 2nd at the Haskell last year to Authentic. Authentic, another My Racehorse horse that I did very well with last year. I'm sporting the Authentic hat tonight for this recording, as you can see. So in order for him to be just nosed by Authentic at this race last year with a 121 speed figure, that's pretty good. You'll see after that he did not have as good speed figures in the Kentucky Derby or the Preakness. Came back with a 126 speed figure at Belmont this year in early May. That was good enough to get him the win, and then finished 2nd his last time out in grade 3. So I like New York Traffic. The other horse that you may recognize is Dr. Post. He's the 5 horse. He finished 2nd at the Belmont last year and was also in this race, was raced in the Haskell a year ago at Monmouth Park, where he finished 3rd to New York Traffic and Authentic. So I like Dr. Post as well. I think New York Traffic would be my pick with Dr. Post coming in 2nd. If the weather breaks down, another horse to look at is Bank It, the 7 Steve Asmussen horse. Paco Lopez on board. Won his last time out on a muddy surface. Finished 2nd on a fast surface before that, and then 2nd on a sloppy surface. So this horse has ran on poor tracks this year, back in March and May. So he's got some experience. He's won on a muddy surface. Horse to take a look at if the track breaks down. He's got some late speed. Let's go on to the 9th race at Monmouth Park. Just a little tip of what I'm looking for here. I like the 12 horse. And if his odds, these are morning line numbers, so they're subject to change drastically, but if he stays about 8-1, Fate of Ophelia is a Saffie Joseph, Tyler Gaffalione horse. Now, he hasn't necessarily faced stiff competition before. He's ran in just some $26,000 maiden races last time out where he broke his maiden in Tampa. But I like the Saffie Tyler G connection. Saffie, in my mind, is better on turf than he is dirt. So if he stays about 8-1 or higher, I'll be having a win bet on Fate of Ophelia. Moving on to the 10th race. This is a grade 3 race, mile and 16th on dirt. This is just if the weather breaks down. Bank Sting has won his last 2 races. Well, he's won his last 4 races, 4 of 5 overall, but his last 2 have been on muddy and sloppy surfaces. So this is a horse that if things break down, he could certainly get it done. I don't mind this horse anyway at 10-1 given his recent form. Now, his speed figures are not the best, with some of the competition here, but if the track gets wet, a wet track is a great equalizer, and I like Bank Sting. So keep an eye on him if we get some weather on Saturday. All right, the 11th race on the card is a grade 1 stakes race, mile and 3/8 on turf. A couple of horses I want to point out to you. We're not going to go over this full card, but a couple of horses that I like the one Arklow. This is a 7-year-old horse. He has been running for a while. He has 32 career starts, 9 career wins. This horse knows how to win. It's a Brad Cox horse. Laurent Giroux gets the mount here. You can see they won together back in May is the last time out. Good speed figure of 125. This horse appears to be in good form, even though he didn't race previous to that since November at Del Mar, but he won there as well. So this is a horse that knows how to win. He had an up and down 2020. Did have a win in there at Kentucky Downs in the Grade 3 Kentucky Turf Cup, again with Florent Giroux on board. So I like the fact that Giroux has won on this horse several times, a couple of seconds in there. This horse has been around and knows how to win. I like the 1. I expect the 1 will be close to the favorite, if not the favorite, when the race goes off. So let's see if we can find a horse to pair him with so we can get some value. The horse that I'm looking at is the 10. This is a Chad Brown Flavion Pratt horse. I like his speed figures. He's got, this is a European horse. I told you earlier I like Euros coming over on turf. Their success seems to translate well. So I like the 10 horse here to pair with the 1. We'll be going 110 exacta box. While we're down here at the bottom of the card, Mike Maker and Tyler G are teaming up here. Good jockey, good trainer. Glenn County, 20-1 horse. Won his last time out with a good speed figure of 118 at Churchill Downs in June. 3rd before that, and then a win at Keeneland back in April. So this is a horse I don't get the 20-1 number on the morning line. I doubt he stays there. He does not have early speed. He will not be at the front of the pack, but he does have some closing speed. And he's won recently. He's in good form. So I'm going to be looking for a win place show bet on the 9 if he stays about 20-1. Just looking at the time form power picks, they do predict this to be a fast pace. So again, we'll have to check on the weather, see if the 9 can hit the board. But I would say the 1 and the 10 exacta box is my pick. Our time form has Arklow as their pick as well, along with 5 and the 10. So that is race 11 at Monmouth Park on Saturday. In the race that everybody is here for, the 12th race, the Haskell Stakes. This race is a mile and 1/8 on dirt. It is post time is scheduled for 5:47 p.m. I want to point out amusing time form here. For my speed numbers, time form gives you a pace projector and says this favors horses on or near the early lead. So we're going to go down horse by horse here, go down the card and talk about each horse, and I'm going to give you my thoughts. The one horse, Following C, should be the horse that's out on the early lead. By far, he has the highest early speed figures in this race at 130. The next best is 109 by Midnight Bourbon. So Following C should be on the early lead. This is a Todd Pletcher horse. Joel Rosario gets the mount. I've got concerns because he has not ran any stakes races. He has not faced competition to this level. His last few races, or he's ran 3 races. His last 2, he has won in good speed figures in those. So I'm guessing Todd Pletcher feels like this horse is ready, or he would not have entered him here. So does he have enough to compete with the big boys? We will see. He's a horse that's going to have to be out there and just have to hold the lead. We'll see if he can do that. I don't think he's going to catch anybody if he gets past. So Following C is your one horse, 3-1 on the morning line. 2 horse, Anti-Gravity, 30-1 on the morning line. Hollendorf and Cohen have the connections. This is a horse that has not raced in any big races. You'll see here he's got 12 career starts, 2 wins. He is coming off back-to-back wins, though. But something that I want to point out to you of how he had to do that, he was originally racing in $70,000, $80,000 maiden races. He went from a $93,000 to $93,000 maiden races where he finished second down to a $47,000 maiden race. That tells me that they felt like the horse could win, but against lesser competition. So they dropped him in class. He won. They kept him at around that same class and won again. He did win on a sloppy surface last time out. Weather breaks this track down. Maybe a horse to watch, but I just don't think he has ran against good enough competition. So I am not going to be using the 2. May come back to bite me, but we'll see. 3 horse, Mandaloon, Brad Cox, Florent Giroux. This is a horse that finished second in the Kentucky Derby and then came back and won a stakes race at Monmouth Park 34 days ago by a neck. So he has had a pretty good tune-up recently. Florent Giroux was on the mount for each of his last, Florent Giroux has had the mount every time out for Mandaloon. So this is a jockey that knows the horse. He's won on him 4 times. This horse has hit the board 6 out of his 7 starts. So Mandaloon has been installed as your morning line favorite at 2-1. Let's go on and compare Mandaloon's speed figures to Hot Rod Charlie. Hot Rod Charlie's your 4th horse here. Doug O'Neill, Flavion Pratt have the connections. This is a horse that ran second at the Belmont, 3rd at the Kentucky Derby, has not ran since the Belmont Stakes. So let's take a look at Hot Rod Charlie's speed figures compared to Mandaloon's. Mandaloon racing 112 speed figure. Kentucky Derby had a 125 speed figure where he finished second. Hot Rod Charlie, who was also in the Kentucky Derby, had a 124 speed figure. So right there with Mandaloon speed figure wise, and just got edged out by Mandaloon. He was right there, finished 3rd by a length. So he was right there. One thing I want to point out, look at Hot Rod Charlie's speed figures here. 76, 78, 79, 94, 114, 114, 119, 124, 130. What does that tell me? That tells me that Hot Rod Charlie has gotten better each and every time out. He ran last at Belmont where he got beat by Essential Quality, but he was dueling with Essential Quality in the backstretch and just got beat by the better horse that day. Essential Quality ran an amazing race, had a fantastic speed figure that day. So I like Hot Rod Charlie. Hot Rod Charlie is going to be my pick to win. I like his numbers. They're getting better. He's ran better every time. I think Hot Rod Charlie gets it done. Number 5, Picking Time, Kelly Breen, Nick Juarez. This is a horse that I don't see any recent form from. His speed figures were not great. The last time out was not good at all. 5 is a scratch for me. 21 on the morning line. Number 6, Midnight Bourbon, Steve Asmussen, Paco Lopez horse. This is a horse that Finished second at the Preakness and sixth at the Kentucky Derby, were his last two starts. Speed figure's not terrible. His number at Preakness was pretty good, 125, where he finished second to Rombauer. He had the lead going into at the last pole and just couldn't quite hold on. Rombauer came back to win by 3.5 lengths, so just couldn't hold on. So Midnight Bourbon is a horse that's going to be up on the early lead. He's going to be just off of the one horse following C. I'm not sure that Midnight Bourbon has the closing ability. I think Midnight Bourbon could hit the board, but only because he's going to be up there out front dueling with following C. But I think he gets passed by at least one of Hot Rod Charlie and Mandaloon, if not both. Let's go down to the seventh horse, which is Basso. You can see this horse has ran in a bunch of $50,000 allowance races. He broke his maiden his first time out, 47,000. Hasn't done anything since then. Doesn't have good speed figures. This is a hard pass for me. I think this is the horse that finishes in last place. So how am I going to be playing this race? I've already told you I like 4 to win. I will probably be playing a 4-3 exacta box. We'll see what the odds are at post time. If they stay 6-5 and 2-1, you're not going to make any money on an exacta box unless you don't go big. I may go big. I just don't see. I think these are the two best horses in the field. The only concern I have following C, the one, could be so far out in front that these horses just don't catch him. I just don't. I'm not sure that following C though is going to be able to be far enough ahead where Hot Rod Charlie cannot run him down, especially if Hot Rod Charlie improves his speed figures yet again. So I'm going to be playing a 4-3 exacta box. I'm also going to be playing a trifecta. I will be playing the 4 and 3 on top over the 1 and the 6. So what that means is I'm going to play 4 and 3 to win and place, and the 1 and 6 to show. So save a little bit of money instead of boxing 4 horses there. But that is how I see this race playing out. So we have a pretty good card on Saturday at Monmouth Park. Saratoga is up and running. They've got a couple of stakes races this weekend. So if you've got a Saturday afternoon on the couch planned, fire up Saratoga, and Monmouth Park should have some good racing for you. Just some quick news and notes before we get out of here. Bob Baffert has been reinstated by the New York Racing Association. Well, should say he won the first round of his lawsuit against the New York Racing Association. The federal court in New York has thrown out his suspension. They have said that Bob Baffert did not get due process. New York Racing Association, NYRA, suspended him based on what happened at the Kentucky Derby and followed Churchill Downs suspension, and did not give Bob Baffert an opportunity to defend himself, did not give him an opportunity to be heard. Would it change anything? Probably not. They're going to suspend him anyway. But because they didn't give him an opportunity to be heard, the federal court in New York has said suspension is not valid. So that means that he is eligible to enter horses in New York right away. That's big because Saratoga's just started up. There's going to be some big races at Saratoga this weekend and throughout the next couple months. So we'll probably be covering some races from Saratoga. I think the beginning of August we have one last lead up to the Breeders' Cup. I think there's one more qualifying race there coming up in August, which I will try and have coverage for. And then we'll be covering Saratoga and the other tracks that are running leading up to the Breeders' Cup in November. That's going to be from Del Mar this year. So this has been episode 4 Photo Finish. I'm Steve-O. I want to remind you all, go subscribe anywhere that you find your podcast to Photo Finish. Check us out on YouTube and SpinnableSports.com for all your sports news notes. This has been episode 4 of Photo Finish. Till next time, see ya.